across the population centers of this state. And instead of doing that, we said no thank you over ideological reasons. And in so doing, well, we missed an opportunity to build high-speed rail across a state of 20 million people, third largest in the country and fast growing. But we also missed an opportunity to get people working. Construction workers, architects, engineers, food truck owners. Everybody goes to work. We've got to lean back into that challenge into this state of Florida. There is not a challenge that this state faces that cannot be fixed by what we have in this state, the people of this state. What we got to change is our leadership in Tallahassee. And that begins by electing a Democratic governor, and then electing Democrats in the House and in the Senate, and getting a more fair and balanced bench. Y'all have seen these nominees coming out of the president's cabinet. Completely, wholly unqualified, never been in a courtroom, and yet you're going to be a judge.
Yes.
Unbelievable. But that's what we have. And by the way, that's what we're going to have in this state if we don't get the keys of state back under our control, because there are going to be 3 Supreme Court justices on the day of the swearing in of the governor that are going to be up, that will be vacant. Right? And think about all the courts that come beneath that. We're not talking about 4 years, we're talking about 40 years of jurisprudence. Right? And so it matters who we elect. It matters who we send to the governor's mansion. So y'all, I want to take your questions, but I want to conclude my comments by simply saying that this is in our hands. Young voters particularly. Anybody have a guess what percent 18 to 35-year-olds represent in the Democratic primary?
How much represent? How much we actually vote?
By percent, by your vote?
45%.
By your participation in the last 20 years, on average, young voters between the ages of 18 and 35 have voted less than 5% of the total vote share. In the primary. Right? Less than 5%, 4.8 to be exact. We've got to do better. I believe we can triple that number. I think we can triple that number easily. I think one of the challenges we've had in this state is that the primaries are typically scheduled the week y'all go back to school, or the week after you've been in school, right? So that makes it very challenging for folks to participate, certainly for college-age youth to participate. But I think another reason why we don't is because oftentimes people don't come to us and ask us for our votes. They don't work to organize us. They don't remind us. And then they don't create the mechanisms that get us out to vote. And if they do, it's usually at the end of the process and not at the beginning of the process. And that's why we're here. We're almost a year out from the Democratic primary election. And in that period of time, it's my plan to move all across the state of Florida, talking and meeting and organizing in as many places as we possibly can. We have got to treat the governor's race like it's a statewide election. We cannot camp out in just one part of the state. Why? Because we keep losing in other parts of the state by huge margins. And while we may not win the Red Panhandle region of the state of Florida, we don't have to win it. We need to lose less. That's a thing. Lose less. Why? Because the person who gets elected governor is going to be the one who gets one more vote than the next person. One more vote. And that vote may come from anywhere, off any campus, off any community college, out of any neighborhood. So we got to be willing to go there, organize, and compete for those votes. If we do that, I already gave you the numbers earlier. In the general election, we can show up with energy and passion and momentum and votes, including that 70,000 plus that we need in order to capture the governor's mansion again. If Tuesday is any indicator, last Tuesday, where we had historic wins in places that we didn't think we were going to have historic wins. We elected 2 African-American lieutenant governors. First time in history in those states. Right? I think Virginia turned 14 previously Republican seats to Democratic seats. Right? We saw 3 transgender, or is it 4 now? I know there was one that was still contested, but I think 4 transgender individuals elected to legislatures, to public office. Right? So that's what happens when we bring our A game, when we show up, when we organize, when we turn out. And if we do that in this case, in this state, we can turn one of the most diverse states in all of America. Well, what? Roughly 47% of the people who constitute the state of folks of color. But you wouldn't tell that when you look at the legislature and the cabinet officials and the department heads below that and the judges below that right? This is what we call systemic. And we've got to disrupt what have been systemic misrepresentation. And the lack of representation there with a Florida that is much more reflective of this room. And I believe that we can get there, but we got to work hard. We have to organize. We have to show up. We got to show out. Now, if we do that, we win this state. And if we stay home, we lose. It's kind of that simple of a proposition. We show up, we win. We stay home, we lose. So in order for us to show up and win, we're going to need all of y'all. We need your creative energy and your talent and your organizing. And obviously, I would love to have your help in doing that on behalf of our campaign. We want to engage with you. We're